In this video, part 1, painting Kill Team Nachmund. So I've got some pipes here and some miscellaneous things that came in the Nachmund box. Since there's so much terrain here, I am going to do this in stages. Now, as you can see, I've got 3 different stages of done here on the table. What I've done here to make things easy is I have used a bit of sponge, and I take on the first step, a dark blue, dip the sponge in it, kind of sponge it around, make sure there's not a huge amount of paint on the sponge. And then I'm doing that in all of the recessed panels. That way I can make all of the recessed panels blue. So the first step in this is to use a dark blue all the way around in the recesses, kind of get as much in those individual rectangles as I can, and then spread that around a little bit. Now, this obviously, it's going to create a bit of a mess, but that's fine. So once that's done, I grab a lighter blue, and then, oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, in this I'm still using the darker blue. I just wanted to make sure I kind of got in every nook and cranny in those rectangles. And if you make a mess, don't worry about it. We're going to go over it with the silver, and then we're going to touch it up again as we go. So what I've got here, if you can see here, I've got a dark, like a deep sky, I believe is what it's called, by Army Painter. So then I take the next color, which is a bit of a lighter blue, and I do the same thing, just only in the center. That way you just kind of brighten up the very center of it, and you leave the edges of the rectangles a darker blue. And I do that across all of them again, and it's a fairly simple process, pretty quick and easy. You just kind of dab in the center, make a big big splotch there in all of those areas. For our last color, what I did here is I kind of mixed the mid color with the lighter color just to make sure it didn't stand out too much. And then I take that lighter color and I just dab just a little bit in the center. You don't want a big blob of it. You just kind of want to dab just a little bit, just a touch. That way it looks like the paint is starting to chip and peel. And I'm still going for a sort of pseudo grimdark on these. Now, once that is finished, I take a silver, and this is gunmetal from the Army Painter, and I go across all of the parts and pieces that will be silver. Now, once again, we are going to make a mess when you do it with the sponge, but that's okay. Like I said, we're going to touch everything up with the brush once we're done. So as you can see here, I'm just kind of getting all of the parts and pieces. I have a small, like a square of sponge, and I'm just using it to kind of dab across those like the cross piece sections, and make sure that I get all of the large areas covered in that gunmetal. Now this process is a little messy. I probably should have worn gloves, because I'll tell you what, I had all kinds of colors all over my hands when I was done. But it's pretty simple, and it's very quick. So I was able to do all of these pipes and pieces in, I want to say, less than 2 hours. And of course, this is only one little piece of the Nachmund set. I've still got quite a bit to go. So what I'm doing here, as you can see, I'm taking that silver, and I'm just kind of touching up and cleaning up all of the recesses that I did not get. Now, I'm not doing every single little piece and part and area in silver. I'm just making sure to cover some of the larger black areas with the silver paint, just to make sure there are no large swaths of black in those small recesses. And once that's done, I take the dark blue, which is the first blue I put down, and I touch up all of those silver areas by putting that dark blue back into the corners of the rectangles. And that is twofold here. You're covering up the silver mess, and you're also reinforcing the darker color in the cracks and crevices, and it makes the terrain look really good. So once that's done, it kind of pulls everything together and makes it look really, really good. That way you have that darker area on one spot and the lighter area in the middle. It kind of draws the eye towards the center of the rectangle, which is kind of what we're trying to do here. It makes it look pretty good. And also here, just in this step, it doesn't take very long, but just kind of take your time and make sure you don't get any of that blue on the silver area. But if you do, you might even still have some of that silver paint. On this stage, what I'm doing is very simple. I'm just touching the fins on the little, I guess they're heat sinks or whatever they are, the coils, and I'm just using a copper color to do those. Now in my Necromunda terrain, I actually made these into like coolant pipes, and I used, what you can do is like use a dark blue and then a lighter blue and a lighter blue on the coils, and then kind of dry brush it with a white to make it look frosty. But in these, I kind of just wanted them to look like copper coils. It makes it much easier. I'm also picking out a couple of random little bits, like the plates and or a couple of pipes on there, just to make them kind of stand out with kind of a coppery color. You can do this in multiple ways. You can also, if you want, take another color here like I am. I'm taking a Mephiston red, and I'm going to put that on the one little, it's like a part of the pipe. There's like a little cylinder in there, and also there's a couple of panels, so you can just do the buttons or whatnot, just to kind of give it a splash of color to kind of change everything up. And that's pretty much it's the most simple way to do these things. It's quick and it's easy, and in the end it actually looks pretty good on the table. Of course, this is not like a master painted standard. This is not like a golden demon winning piece of terrain, but it looks really good on the table because it's more than just primered. It's more than just one splash of color. You got a couple of colors on there, and it's a quick and easy job, and it's really, it's not that hard. It makes everything kind of pop. And, it's fairly simple enough to just pick out a couple of pieces and just change a color here and there. I mean, you don't even have to stop at this particular piece with this many colors. You could take it further, put more blues in there. Of course, you can swap out the blues for whatever color you want. You could take a brighter silver, and you could, do an edge highlight on all the metallic areas. You could take your miscellaneous color there, like on the coils, and you could put a brighter, like a gold on the very tips of the coils to make them stand out. There's all kinds of things you can do. As you can see here, this is kind of like an overview. Now keep in mind, I have not hit any of these with a wash. Normally I would wash them, but I think I'm just going to leave them like as is, and maybe just do like a couple of pieces like the fans or whatnot with the wash, and just kind of leave it at that. But all of these, I did every single one of these pieces with the same method, using the sponge and then the brush, and just kind of tidying them up. And I think all of them turned out pretty good, especially the hatches. The hatches are kind of my favorite part of the set. I don't know why. Anyway, so that is the video, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and join me on Discord. And I'd like to thank all of you who watch. I appreciate you.